Welcome to part 3 of my full musical library kind of diving in as a thank you for my 1,000 subscriber, and I've been steadily increasing. I mean, since I've been starting this, I've already had an extra 100 subscribers, so thank you guys. That's pretty amazing. So as a thank you, I've been going through and talking about all the albums that I have in my collection, at least in terms of vinyl collection. So I've already done part 1, which was mainly a kind of like the technical progressive metal or just progressive metal, which then blended into this guy, which was more of the progressive metal that was more in the experimental metal or experimental prog and then full on prog. And so now we find ourselves into the cubby that I'm sitting directly behind. That one starts off more in a hipster, indie kind of style. So I'm going to preface this one right off the get-go. There's not a whole lot of prog to be found in this, so this video is more for those who are interested in the different styles of music that I like to listen to. As I mentioned within the first 2 videos, I catalog my albums based on mood, style, genre. So how I kind of structure it is I have an artist, and then the artist that I feel kind of builds off the last. So we ended with Explosions in the Sky, which is a very post-rock, almost hipster indie kind of feel, but definitely more of like that post-rock math rock. So from there, we're going to dive into a full-fledged indie band. Starting off the covey, we have the artist known as the Decembrists. These guys were actually introduced to me as a progressive rock band. And they were kind of my introduction to, say, like the indie stuff. The first album that I have is Castaways and Cutouts, probably my favorite album from them. These guys blend that Portland style indie scene with a more contemporary progressive atmosphere. Like, there are songs that these guys have done that reach into like the 20-minute mark, and that's actually found within the first EP or second album of The Train. The first side on this is like 18 minutes of just one song known as The Train, and then you've got the 5 other songs from there. Then we have actually the first album I got from them, which is Her Majesty, the Decembrists. Then we have their critical breakthrough, which is Picturesque. This has the 13 Military Wives as well as the Miner's Revenge song, but my favorite song on this is actually the Barman's Gambit. Then from there we have one of their more proggy albums, The Crane Wife, which features 3 songs, arguably, that are really in the long composition. You've got The Island as well as the Crane Wife Suite. But from there, this is actually my favorite album from the band, and that's The Hazards of Love, a full rock opera. The whole thing is one piece. It's a concept album. It tells a beautiful story, and I just get moved every time I listen to it. Then we get actually another album that I really enjoy, which is The King is Dead. This is a complete contrast to The Hazards of Love in that it's much more of a folk album, almost a country and western album, utilizing that singer-songwriter styles. Then I have their live release, which is We All Raise Our Voices to the Air, and it's just a fun live album, one of the quintessential live albums, I feel. Then I have the EP, which is Long Live the King, which is a EP from The King is Dead. And then actually the most disappointing album I had from them, which is their latest one, it's What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. I just do not connect with this album. I feel like it's way too close to form within The King is Dead. I was really looking forward to this album because each album that had predated it took the band in a completely different direction, and this was the first one that I'm like, man, they really played it safe. But anyway, completionist, had to have it in my collection. So from there, we have the Canadian indie band of Arcade Fire with their first album of Funeral. This album was actually given to me by a friend back in high school when he thought that I was too dug deep into progressive rock in the 70s, and he's like, dude, there's some amazing music that's being produced today. He gave me this album, and I thank him for it because it really opened my eyes that new music and contemporary popular music can still be good. And so Funeral taught me that. The next album of Neon Bible was one of the first vinyls that I had, because I knew that they had released it in vinyl format, so I picked it up when it first was released, and it really blew me away. I mean, My Body as a Cage is just breathtakingly beautiful, and Peter Gabriel did a fantastic cover of that. Then we have The Suburbs, not my favorite. There's a couple really good tracks on here, but not my favorite of theirs. What is my favorite, though, is their album that just followed that up, which is The Reflector. This guy is just so good. It's one of those albums that I can't believe it's as good as it is. From Arcade Fire, we then get into Muse. I'm still not 100% sure why I put these guys here. Anyway, Muse, Origin of Symmetry, fantastic album, amazing songs on here. I mean, Feel Good, Megalomania, Hyper Dimension, Plug-in Baby, Micro Cuts, Bliss, just so many amazing songs on this. But really my favorite album from them is still Absolution. This is the album that introduced me to the band, and every single song is just knocked out of the park, breathtakingly beautiful. Then we have Black Holes and Revelations, a fantastic album. I actually skip a whole bunch just because I didn't connect with the next couple of albums all that much, but I did connect with Drones, and I really enjoyed Drones to the point where I actually had to pick it up. So from Muse, we go into Daft Punk with the Random Access Memories. I really enjoy this album, even though it's not necessarily my taste. It's a mellow track that I love listening to really late at night. Then we go into Radiohead with OK Computer, one of my favorite albums from the 90s. Then we have the follow-up of Kid A. I recently re-listened to this a couple months ago, and I forgot just how beautiful this album is. Then we have In Rainbows. This is one of my favorites from the band. I mean, these three are my favorites for sure. But this one I feel gets overlooked a little too much. Probably because it's just overshadowed by how Goliathly great OK Computer and Kid A are. Then we have King of Limbs. I only got this because it was like $10 at a garage sale. It's still growing on me. It's a little weird for me. And I know that's saying something when it's coming to Radiohead, but anyway. From Radiohead, this is more of an inside joke of why I have these guys here, but I actually have Coldplay, X and Y. Just some really beautiful moments on this, outside of, say, like the Fix You, but Twisted Logic, and there's one song of X and Y, the title track. It's actually very, very beautiful. I am a little disappointed that they did split this into 2 albums as opposed to just having it on 1 disc, but I mean, I've already ranted and raved about that. Now, actually, a beautiful album is Viva La Vida. This is my favorite Coldplay album. 1 disc, aces, but just beautiful. I love this album. It's so, I guess, accessible, and just the mood that the band's able to create. And then we have the EP that kind of comes with that. Then we have the Milo, I can never really pronounce this, but the Milo Oxto? Anyway, this guy, a lot of fun, a great contrast to the Viva La Vida, and being more of like a symphonic kind of approach to their music. And then being a contrast to that, we have Ghost Stories, and I've really grown to appreciate this album. Very genuine, very humble, very intimate. But that's where my Coldplay collection stops. I tried to pick up their latest one, but I just do not like it at all. So from there, we come into my favorite album from last year of Persian's Desires Magic Theater. This guy just keeps growing on me, and I love just the throwback of like that 60s, 70s essence. Just a great, great album. Then we have a very accessible one from Lindsey Sterling. I love her music. Her violin playing is just fantastic. And the way that she's able to blend it with more of like a techno style, very, very interesting and very well done. From there, we go into the Polyphonic Spree, the Fragile Army. I love how happy and genuine these guys are. I wish I had more from them, but it's hard to find. And then from there, we have Yes, It's True. Not a big fan of this album, if I'm being perfectly honest. It feels like they're trying too hard, especially when you consider the Fragile Army and Together We're Heavy. And then just for kicks and giggles, I also have their Christmas album because, you know, I like listening to their Christmas stuff. So if we're talking about like the Polyphonic Spree, then you have the Flaming Lips and Yoshima Battles the Pink Robots, a really fun album. I probably don't have to talk too much about this, but still a fantastic album, and they're just a lot of fun. I don't have too much from the Flaming Lips, but, you know, not a big fan of theirs. Like, I know people that love the Flaming Lips love the Flaming Lips. They're okay, and I do enjoy that album. Then we have the Shins, Wincing the Night Away. I was introduced from this band as many were from the movie Garden State, so I love Wincing the Night Away. My favorite from them, though, is The Port of Morrow. This album is just so beautiful. I wish more people knew about it. Then I have their live album. The guy is fantastic playing live. Really able to capture the spirit that, he's going for. Then we have Mumford & Sons' Babel. This album was a fantastic edition of when I needed it most. I was at a little bit of a dark time, so I needed that kind of accessible, fun album. We're coming into the home stretch, and if we're talking about indie artists, no collection would be complete without Elliott Smith. I've got Either Or, as well as one of my favorites. This is the introduction of Figure 8. And then his posthumous album of The Fool on the... No, I always want to say The Fool on the Hill. That's not it. From a Basement on the Hill. This actually holds a lot of my favorite stuff from him, and I'm really, really saddened of his untimely passing, shall we say, because a lot of the ideas on here are just so beautiful, and I wish I could have heard the finalized version of a lot of these tracks that are left unfinished. But it's still a breathtakingly beautiful album. From there, we actually have a Canadian indie group of Zeus. This is just kind of a fun, lighthearted, I don't want to say very shallow, but not very complex, just very genuine music. Very fun. Another Canadian artist is Dan Mangan. This one is nice, very nice. This kind of captured when I was in library school, and this album holds a lot of those very pleasant times for me. Coming off of that, another Canadian artist, as we get closer and closer into the Canadian stylings, we have Joel Plaskett. An Ashtray Rock is a fantastic concept album, very story-oriented. Two guys are fighting over a girl, and it kind of tears their relationship apart. Then we have the Scrappy Happiness from him, and then coming from that, we have the Park Avenue Sobriety Test. Now, this is from Jida Kelly, Clover. This album I picked up at a Protest the Hero concert because she sings the female vocals on a lot of their tracks, and so because she was touring with them, she has a side project, and it's a good contrast to a lot of the other albums that I have in my collection. And then we have Alves, kind of springboarding off of that, being another Canadian artist. And so to finish this guy off, I've got my two She and Him albums. They're both the Christmas albums, so we have their first Christmas album, which is just a very She and Him Christmas. And then I have the follow-up that was released this year, which was Christmas Party. They're just really nice kind of Christmas music, and I enjoy getting into them. So that's about it from the cubby that's just behind me. It is probably the most far removed of all of my listening habits. I mean, the only other one is the guy that's behind this cubby here. Because my collection has grown so much, I had to kind of put some albums behind here that didn't fit anywhere else. So once I'm done talking about all these other ones, I'll get to some of the collections that's behind this guy here. But that's about it for the guy behind me. What did you guys think? What was your favorite album? What was the most surprising album out of the bunch? Let me know by commenting down below. Next week, I'm going to dive into this cubby right here, and this one starts off with soundtracks and then goes into the 70s. So I'm really excited to talk about those guys for you guys. So look out for that coming up next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.